Hi, this is Claire, DentalToaster. Storytelling is so powerful. There are many books about the art of storytelling, many videos out there, but we can really use that in order to be better at our interview or just to impress someone. I'm going to give you a flow that you have to follow and also some magic sprinkles, some additional bonus to make the story even better. So let's start with why we need storytelling. If you think about when you read Harry Potter, the frog, the train, did you imagine all that? You probably did. And you felt so connected to the story. You went into the story and you believed it, right? So we're using the same techniques to impress someone. Our acronym is SARL. So let's start with the situation. Where were you? Who was around you? What was the problem? And let me give you an example here. So let's say the interviewer asked you, tell us a time when you had to be creative. So that is the question. So if you want to answer with the S, the situation, start with, for example, when I was at school, I was asked to suddenly do a presentation in a community oral health setting, present in front of about 50 students and parents about oral hygiene, how they should brush their teeth. It was very sudden. I didn't have much notice at all. It was last minute because a professor was sick and could not be there. So I was asked to be there. So did you see? You described the situation. You could go a little further saying who went with you, for example, your classmates, or your other professors. But again, S is for situation or the problem, what you were trying to solve. And in this scenario was that you were thrown into this community oral health setting and trying to be that educator. All right, so acronym S. Now we have A for action. What did you actually do? How did you make it better? Here's the A in the same question. Let's repeat it. Tell us a time when you had to be creative. The A, the action could be, I know I didn't have much time, but I gathered all the phone numbers of dental offices surrounding me so I could collect free toothbrushes, so I could have those donations. After I did that, I created a PowerPoint with my friends and I rehearsed it in front of my faculty members. When it came to the actual presentation, I felt nervous. About 50 students and parents, I went over brushing techniques, starting with how you brush the lingual side because we forget it a lot. And I put on some music and we had a timer and we'd all brush together. And I even gave them a video to watch afterwards. See, in this action, you're describing how you solve the problem. So our acronym, the second one was A, action. Number 3 is R, so all for result. Did you make anybody's life better? Did people appreciate it? So let's continue. The question was, tell us a time you had to be creative. Here we have the community oral health setting question, and let's say the result was, well, people were really impressed by my education skills and my presentation skills, even if I was thrown in there with no experience. At least half of the parents shook my hand, telling them how wonderful the program was, and all the students walked away with a new toothbrush and a smile on their face. And it went so well that the program director of the Community Oral Health Center actually asked me to come back to do the same program next month. So do you see here when I say the result, you give them something tangible to grab, such as the program director asked me to come back. How powerful is that? What I'm trying to say here is when you give the results, you are really telling them the good you have done here and how you helped other people. All right, so that was number 3, results. Now L for lesson. Number 4 is lesson. Let's go back to that scenario. Tell us a time when you had to be creative. So lesson is something you learned. Any feedback you turn into something that you can incorporate. I learned how to be spontaneous and how to be creative and how to work with a short timeline. You can also say, I learned that I actually do well in educational settings. I really love teaching oral health to others, students, and I can transfer that skills to our patients. As you can see, the lesson is for the other person to understand what you have learned, but also to really kind of package in a way that makes you look better, right? Saying, hey, actually, I'm a good educator. I can work with tight deadlines. So again, our acronym was SARL. Now let's talk about what I call the magic sprinkles, or the magic spices that you can put on top of the story to make it even better. The first rule, the first sprinkle I'm going to introduce to you is a number. So you want to put some numbers in there. For example, if you remember, I said at least half of the parents came to shake my hand, okay? Or I said I had a group of about 50 people. You want to be a little bit more specific just because it helps them understand the scenario. Second is to give some more detail. I'm going to give you some examples here. Oh, you tell a friend, hey, I went to the mountains this weekend. It was great. I had a lot of fun. Okay? Instead of saying that, you say, hey, I went to the mountains. I actually went to Whistler, and it was a group of 3 of us. We hiked for 6 hours. I stepped into puddles. It was really hard. I almost lost my shoe. My legs were so sore, but at the end of the day, I was so happy when I got up there because I could see the entire foliage, and it really made my day. Here, obviously, the better option is number 2 because you can actually imagine the scenario in this case, right? Just like when you were reading Harry Potter. And the third sprinkle I want to introduce to you is to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to work with a robot. Everybody wants to work with someone they feel like can take feedback very well and is a nice human being. So by making yourself not that perfect person, but a vulnerable person is really going to help you. Let me give you an example. This is a real research. There were 2 actors. And you know when you go to a grocery store or Costco, they have those blenders demonstrated so they can sell it to you. So one actor had perfect smoothie, everything was great. Now the other spilled milk over the table. Guess who had the more sales? The person who spilled milk. This shows how people like to connect people with others who are vulnerable. So don't be afraid to say the mistakes you have made. But obviously we want to say what we've learned from it and how we can be better from that. So don't make yourself that perfect human being, but just blend in some human aspect to this. So we just reviewed how we can create a great story around our answers to really take the interviewer to the journey, and so you can score some more points. To recap, SARL is our flow, and some magic sprinkles. We looked at the numbers, we looked at how to be specific, and we looked at how to be vulnerable. Thank you. This is Claire, Dental Toaster. I hope you all have a fantastic interview.